Hey guys, your girl Charina here, and happy Holy Saturday! Yay! It's literally Easter Vigil night, and I'm excited because the fact that our Lord, our Savior and Redeemer has risen from the dead, and literally we all have to be excited in our hearts and with that fire in our hearts to really be stronger warriors for Christ. So, I can explain it's dark, the artificial lighting, not the natural lighting, because I just attended online mass with my parents, the 7 p.m. mass at St. Michael's Cathedral in downtown Toronto, which is my ultimate favorite church to go to be alone with God after work and just detox and cleanse from all my problems. And literally that's why it's dark, and it's literally 9 p.m. filming this. I wanted to do it earlier, but then I had to do some duties for my parents, so gotta do what you gotta do. And before I go on and on and on and on, before I forget, I want to thank you guys for whoever is tuning back, and for those that are new, my name is Charina. I love being real, keeping it bubbly, keeping it real for our God, and I promise, as God is my witness, that I will try to honestly put as much great content out there for you guys so that you guys will be able to journey with me and to become closer to Christ with me, you know, for God. And honestly, at the end of the day, we really have to just place God first and above all things, and He'll make it happen. So anyways, so for those that are tuning back, you guys know what the drill is. I hope you guys have your favorite H2O drink. I swear this is water, don't worry, that's why it's blue. And your favorite snack with you so that you guys will have no excuse to get up and hit the road to go get a little something for your tummy. I know I'm too bubbly, sorry, I can't help it. But either way though, without further ado, I want you guys to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is right here. And please, 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 from the bottom of my heart, it greatly means so much to me that you please follow my Instagram tag, which is right here. And without further ado, as I said again, let's get started. So today I want to talk to you guys about following the will of God. Yeah, I know what you guys are thinking. It's that intensity in your heart that you know it's a rough road, it's a tough road, but you know at the back of your mind that it's actually completely worth it to the very end. Following the will of God is a very appropriate, suitable topic for tonight, because again, like, if you think about it with Jesus Christ, like, he really followed the will of God to the very end. He really struggled to the very end, regardless of how much torture, injustice, persecution, the list can go on, that he went through. And regardless of that, like, I love how Jesus really had these dialogues with God to really just, not dialogues, but I feel like it's cries out to God that, like, I'm following the will of Christ, like, I'm following your will, I'm following your plan. And I know it's not those exact words, but basically that's how I feel that Jesus is really trying to really, like, just be solid on following the will of God. And that's why we have to take that in consideration with us when we live our day-to-day lives, when we come across any not closures, but more like redirecting in a sense, because I feel like, when we have a plan for ourselves and, like, somehow, like, God just, like, puts a little, like, go this way, go this way. Like, I feel like that's how God works in my life. You guys will have to agree with me. I don't know what you guys have gone through, but, like, with me, I feel that's how God's been working in my life a lot of times. Like, sometimes I just have this plan. I'm like, okay, let's go here. Like, literally. And that's why, like, nowadays, before, I used to be so frustrated and annoyed because I'm just like, why are you like, I feel like this, but really no. Like, as I matured, at least I hope I did, I feel like God has really, like, allowed me to see with that full clarity that, like, he has a better plan. He has a better plan. That's why, like, when we think about Jesus Christ, like, really following the will of God, we should really, like, think about that and be persistent and persevere through it like Jesus did. So the first point I want to talk about in regards to following the will of God is detachment. Yeah, I know. detachment. And I mean it, detachment. Because, you know, when you detach from things that are weighing you down on this earth, and I know I've mentioned the word detachment and detaching in my previous topics because it's a very common point that really resides in a lot of my topics. And the fact that, you know, it's very important that we are constantly reminded the fact that, you know, detaching from things that are constantly holding us back from moving forward is really important because it gives us that liberation, that freedom to be able to move forward from our life with full clarity and not be so blurred because of maybe like you talk a lot to people about maybe something that you're going through and you hear many opinions. I would say it's hard to actually like figure out your own thought at the end of the day because you tend to like lean on what people say, and I understand that, like, because I can relate to you, but I've learned to detach from that and just keep it between me and God, me, Mother Mary, me, Jesus. That's it. I mean, yes, of course, have your patron saint, praise God, yes, don't forget to have your patron saint with you as long, like journeying with you as well too. And, you know, honestly, like, we really have to, like, just detach from this world. Like, for example, you know, materialistic things. And given for myself that I used to be a very materialistic person. Yeah, I know, cricket noise. I used to be a very materialistic person because I would say, like, I didn't really see the clarity in terms of my mission and in terms of the way and purpose of my life. Should be. That's why I felt like that was just like, oh, you know, I should buy that. Oh, I should buy this. And then over time and becoming closer to cars, it really gave me that full sense of clarity, like full sense of clarity that like it's just temporal happiness, temporary happiness, literally temporary happiness. Because if you think about it, it's like, okay, for example, if you buy like a designer bag, great, looks cute, pricey, I know. And then you get it, you're like excited at first because you bought it, you're like, yay, saved up for this, but then like after like a week or two, you tend to want something else, right? I'm just talking about girls, but I don't know for guys. I know guys don't really like shopping, I think. That's just my understanding, but maybe for cars, I think that's what guys like. I don't know, I could be wrong. But you get my point. It's like, okay, for guys, if you buy a nice car, great, it looks awesome. If you get like a BMW or something, cool, right? But for girls, same thing. If you get like a nice Chanel bag or a nice Louis Vuitton bag, cool, cute. Okay, great. But then what's next, right? Like, you're gonna be constantly wanting more and more and more. It's like this endless affair of just searching and searching for something else to buy, right? And same thing for cars, because like every year they change models, right? So it's just like, and that's how it is. So that's what I'm saying. Like, my point is that we have to have that detachment from this world so that we'll be free from being slaves of this world. Because if you think about it, you know, as I said, it is temporary happiness, so therefore it is temporary. Like, it's not eternal happiness. It's not eternal love and joy and happiness, like, literally it's not. And that's why we just really have to just detach from all that so that we can just really focus on God, Jesus Christ, and our Blessed Mother Mary. Like, just imagine, you know how horses, they have this, like, thing like that? Yeah. Like, literally, we just have to have that imagery that we literally have to have those, like, covers. But, now that I said that, you know, I feel like we should have that focus without the covers, right? We shouldn't be forced to have those covers, but, you know, that's why, like, we really have to discipline ourselves to really have those covers, like, pretending that we have those covers so that we will have that full clarity and that full focus of just on Christ. That's it. You know, case closed, right? And so, you know, we just really have to honestly take into the fact that Christ is our eternal happiness. He literally promises us eternal happiness when we really, like, put him first above all things, when we really love him so much, and we really do our diligence by doing our works of faith, you know, because again, like it is said in the scripture that faith is dead without works. So that's why, like, yes, he'll be praying, but if you don't do anything, yeah. So that's what I'm saying, like, you know, allowing God to really take over in our lives is just simply just letting God lead the way, regardless of how you're feeling, what you're feeling, and regardless of what prayer you're praying right now. I know it's a tough, because in this society today, we all want constant, quick answers, you know, just like, yo, God, what's up? Okay, big text. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna do this. Good. You know, I feel like, I don't know, like, I feel like sometimes people just, like, think of God as, like, a genie in the bottle. I know I mentioned this in my previous videos, but, like, like, I feel like people, like, look at God as, like, a genie in a bottle where they just, like, pray, and they want answers, like, you know, done. And I'm like, why? Like, I love the fact that, like, God allows us to have that beautiful sense of that scenery, that he just allows you to experience this whole time of waiting and this whole time of just persevering, persisting, purification, so that, you know, when you take a step back from that whole process, you see, like, that, like, masterpiece of you transforming and you becoming someone better through that time. But the fact that you're in the situation may look a little ugly, because, like, God knows what you're going through, like that worry, anxieties, fears, insecurities, this can go on. But my point is that, you know, from, like, the way God can see it, he knows that whole part of that whole masterpiece of you transforming and you experiencing that sense of waiting and that sense of trusting in him, regardless of you just, like, being in the whole masterpiece, just like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen, you know, it's just like, you want to know now, and you've been praying about it, and God can see you, like, God can see you in that whole, like, masterpiece, that you're really, like, trying, you're really being fervent in him, you're really praying with full, genuine sincerity. Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, you know, before I used to really just complain, really. Like, when I literally am in that, like, time of waiting, I'm just like, ugh, why? But now, like, now that I look at it, I love how just that waiting part is so, like, like, I'm just so excited. Like, I want to know, like, what's gonna happen next and what's gonna happen, like. And, you know, at times, I'm not gonna lie, it is tough for me personally, because I'm just like, I want to know now, because I just don't want to waste time. Like, that's just me. I feel that, you know, the time of waiting and being patient and just persevering through that time of waiting is very important. And time is a very important factor, which leads to my next point, which is the need of personal prayer with God. Yes, I mean it. Literally, when it comes to having this, you know, having that time of personal prayer with God, in other words, it's having that personal conversation with God, that personal dialogue with God that, you know, is just between you and him. Just between you and him. It's literally like you and him in the room and no one else. Well, of course, Mother Mary on the left and Jesus on the right, you know, and it's just this conference of just you and them. And of course, your patron saint. Don't forget that. And I feel it's very important that we really have to constantly have that conversation with God and to constantly have that prayer time with God, because without that, then how is your relationship with God going to become deeper? It's just gonna be in the shallow surface, and that's it, you know. I feel that all of us need to have that urge to just keep on wanting to deepen our connection with God constantly, each day, and constantly having that personal prayer with God, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what dryness you're going through, regardless of what persecution or perseverance or purification or pruning you're going through. I mean it. Literally, I feel that whatever you're going through, you can't hide behind closed doors. Because again, as I said in my last video, like we constantly have, when you go out there with people, right? We always have this like nice facade, looking nice, put together, right? Everything looks cool, you're great. But once you go home, as I said, like, you know, God knows what suffering you're going through internally, you know, and what suffering that you're going through mentally. So that's why I feel like, you know, when you really have that personal conversation with God, don't lie. Don't, you know, pretend. Don't just be like, hey, God, I pray that everything will be okay. I pray that... come on, like, be real. Like, just how I am being real with you guys. Like, literally keep it real with God. He knows if you're lying. He knows if you're just pretending or being on the surface with him. He knows. He knows. So to sum up the second point, I really want you guys to think about this. Okay, ready? Okay. Have this imagery of street traffic lights. Okay, don't laugh at me. Okay? Literally, you'll get what I mean at the end when I explain. Okay? Like when you have your personal prayer with God, and your personal conversation with God with full sincereness, with full genuineness. Okay? Think of a street light, like the red, yellow, and green, right? Okay? Okay. The red light is literally like God doesn't want you to do it. Like God will answer your prayer, close the door. This is not where I want you to go, right? The yellow light is literally a yes, maybe, and not now. Not now. Just not yet. You still need to go through some transformative experience, so some more morphing and some more pruning to become better for that prayer that you're praying for, right? And the green, obviously, it's a yay. You know, God's telling you to proceed, right? So now you understand why street traffic lights is a legitimate, like, perfect imagery when it comes to having that personal conversation with God. Because, again, at the same time, though, when you have your personal prayers with God, do not expect. I'm serious about that. Do not expect, because I don't want you guys to pray, hopefully, you know, in this like nice, like sunshine, flowers, rainbows, and all that stuff. And then whatever you pray for doesn't happen, right? I don't want you guys to have that sense of despair and discouragement when what you want doesn't happen. So that's why I'm saying, like, it's very important to not have that sense of expectation that regardless of what you're praying for, whom you're praying for, like, just don't expect. Because, again, God promises the best of the best. So that's why we should not expect. Like, regardless if we get the red light, don't despair. You know, actually rejoice, because maybe God has something better in mind for you, right? And I feel like when you get the yellow light, take it this way, because this is what I've gone through so far, that when I get the yellow lights, it's like, Charina, you know, you're not ready to go yet. You're not ready for this yet. So that's why I want you to keep on having that transformative experience through this time, so that you will become better for what you're praying for. Just not yet. Not right now. Right? But then, you know, all of us mostly like to have the green light, so it's just like a quick, okay, let's go. Let's do this. So the third point I want to talk to you guys about is saying yes to God even when we are afraid. Yeah, I know following the will of God is saying yes to Him even when we're afraid to go with it. I know. I've been there so far, but I feel like the more I go through it, I'm just like, okay, it's fine. You know, I accept it, move on, let's see what happens next, you know? And for all I know, I feel like God will just like bring that back into my life and just be like, hey, remember about this? So that's what I'm saying. Like, from my second point, just don't have expectations. Like, you never know, really. Like, that's why I want you guys to really understand about the street traffic light of the red, yellow, and green. Because, again, like, you know, maybe what you're praying for is like a yellow light. You know, maybe this person that you're praying for is like, you know, a yellow light for you. It's just, God doesn't want you to be with this person right now because both parties need to like transform and have that sense of purification still to be ready for what you're praying for. It could be anything, really. I'm just spotting one of the examples that I mostly hear about. And honestly, like, you know, again, my third point, like just saying yes to God when we get that green light, even though you have this like inner insecurities, inner fears, and just those fears, just trusting God. Like literally, again, as I said before, you are not alone. You are not alone. As long as you have God in the center of it, you have nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid of. That's why for me, like, regardless of what I'm doing, and like in anything in my life, anything, I feel like, you know, when I place God in the center of it, it will bear fruit. Bear fruit. Regardless of what it is, you know? And literally, I like to just, you know, put it all in his hands. Like, regardless of what happens, I just place in his hands, trusting in God, deepening my trust in him each day that it will be okay. I know I'm gonna be okay. You know, that's why you guys have to think about it like that. Just constantly just let go and deepen your trust in God so that, you know, he will allow you to undergo this time of waiting so that, you know, he will allow you to have that anticipation and that sense of waiting so that you'll really appreciate it when God just places it in your life. It's so beautiful that way. I love how God really like, you know, makes me wait and have those like yellow lights in my life so that, you know, when God puts in my life, oh, it's like that appreciation for it becomes so much greater because you've been praying for it for so long. And then once God gives it to you, it's like, ah, yes! That excitement that you know that, you know, it's really worth the wait, you know? And so that's what I'm saying, like when you're really praying about something or someone, don't give up. Don't give up. Because I feel like God will really place that in your life when God knows that you're for real and God knows that you deserve it and God knows that, you know, you're ready for it. It's so beautiful that way. It's so beautiful that way. I don't know. I that's why, like, now that I look back at my previous experiences, it's just, you know, sometimes I see it as a red light, but then a time, now that I think about it, and since this whole quarantine has began, I feel it was like a yellow light to me. It's like, it's not free. It's not for you yet. You know, just not yet. It's just that yellow light. And, you know, it's so beautiful that way that like God allows you to undergo this whole time of waiting and waiting so that your appreciation is so up there for whatever you're praying for. Right? So for the people out there that are praying for someone, don't give up. Really, just don't give up. Honestly, like, you know, if you're in that situation that like you're praying for someone and you want to be with that person, just keep on praying for it. You never know, really. And honestly, like, God knows how much, like, in that case, like, you want to be with that person. And so, you know, God will really like show you the way. And don't forget the yellow light too, because like he doesn't forget the fact that, you know, it's not like, he doesn't forget the fact that how much you want something or someone in your life, right? Like, he doesn't forget that. Like, he doesn't forget the fact he sees you, like, fervently praying each day for that person. It's just, ugh. So that's why, like, you know, for those that are praying for someone out there, don't give up. As I said, don't give up. Because, you know, maybe God could be literally giving you the sense of waiting for now, so that like your appreciation for it will just be like, wow, yes. And yeah, look in that context, you know, and see what happens, right? So to sum up the third point, we really have to consider the fact that we should not be afraid. Jesus himself said it, you know, do not be afraid, for I am with you. Really. So that's why, like, when you get that yellow light, red light, or green light, don't be afraid. You know, maybe at first you may see it as a red light, but then over time, God's really telling you that it's a yellow light all this time, but maybe initially you thought it was a red light or something. It can be anything. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what you guys are going through. Really, only God knows. But my point is, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Don't give up. Honestly, constantly desire for God's will all the time. Because literally, again, as it ties to my last topic yesterday, like, during that time of waiting, you're going to be experiencing that cloud of unknowing, really. And going through that is during that time of waiting. And during that time of waiting, you really see the bigger picture that God's really preparing you for what you're praying for. God's really trying to morph you into someone better than you were yesterday. So, it's a lot to take into consideration, but to put it in simplistic manners, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. And just allow God to really show you what He wants in your life, even though it may be that time of waiting for now. But He knows. He knows what you want. He knows what you constantly desire for. He knows who you're praying for. He knows what you're praying for. Right? So just do not be afraid. Don't forget that. So really, you know, following the will of God, I can literally make more points, but I don't want to keep you guys here with me too long because I'm trying to be considerate every time. So, you know, following the will of God is really just having a sense of detachment, the need of personal prayer, which is very, very important, and considering the street lights, red, yellow, green, and third but not least, is saying yes to God even though we are afraid, right? And to add a bonus, fourth, do not forget our Blessed Mother Mary. You know, I know she's been a common point in my topics previously, but it's very important because honestly, she's always there. As I mentioned, she's always there. Literally, in our times of despair, in our times of dryness, in our times of waiting, and especially, you know, during the time of waiting, the more reason so we have to seek Our Lady, because I don't know what to say, but like literally, she is always there waiting and always there as a prime example of obedience and grace and humility. Literally, like the fact that she endured so much in her life and seeing her son die on the cross and suffer, oi. Oi, like literally. So that's what I'm saying, like we constantly have to seek for her help, her intercession, and for her grace to undergo that sense of waiting. I know I'm emphasizing the yellow light very much so because it's very important that we think about it that way. Like maybe, again, as I said, at first you look at it as a red light because it's like, you know, I should let go of this because it's a red light. But then over time, you see that like God's really like telling you it's actually a yellow light, buddy. You just didn't see it. No, not that in a joke, but my point is that like allow time to be a very important element in your spiritual journey with God. That's my point I'm trying to make here. Because again, we don't know what God wants for us. We don't know really. So that's what I'm saying. You know, allow God to give us that sense of yellow light so that, you know, we undergo that time of waiting so that we really have that time of appreciation for whatever we're praying for or whoever we're praying for. Right? So, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Very much so. I know it's a little long, sorry, but I'll try. Again, as I said, I'm trying my best. And I really hope you guys have a blessed day. Honestly, I'll see you guys again tomorrow, Easter Sunday. And honest to God, I really want you guys to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's right here. And please follow my Instagram tag, which is right here. And guys, have a blessed day. And I'll see you tomorrow for Easter Sunday. Bye!